Up next, an interview with an 80s icon about her band's biggest song. It was a #1 hit. It was a central song from one of the biggest movies of the decade. It was even nominated for an Oscar. Thing is, as we'll find out, most of the band didn't want any part of it. First of all, they weren't even the first choice for the song, but when they got it, the two principals had a major disagreement about doing someone else's song. Then when it became popular, it divided their fan base. Then when you thought there couldn't possibly be any more drama, when it was nominated for an Oscar, the band didn't even get to perform it. Find out why they chose someone else to do it, and a lot more in our exclusive interview next. Hey music junkies, Professor of Rock, always here to celebrate the greatest artists and the greatest songs of all time. If you remember the first time you put a record on the turntable and felt like you'd unlocked the secret to the universe, you're gonna dig this channel of musical nostalgia. Make sure that you subscribe below right now. It's that big red button. And make sure to check all the notifications, all that stuff. So you're the first to know when our latest interviews drop. We got some good stuff coming. Also, what if I told you that we're now putting up full interviews on our Patreon? I've done 600 plus. Would you want to support our mission there? It's about keeping the great music alive, as is our merch below. Check that out. So I'm excited to bring you yet another episode from our series, Revelations. It's where artists take us for a deep dive into their mysteries of their greatest songs and records, the best facts out there. On this installment of Revelations, we have some real rock and roll drama. This 80s band came up from the underground. They were rising stars when they got the chance of a lifetime, chance of a career. Got a chance to do a song that would be featured prominently in the biggest movie of 1986, Top Gun.
The need for speed.
Only problem was the main songwriter and keyboardist wanted nothing to do with it because it was an outside song. Coming up next, we get the story firsthand from the singer, the beautiful and talented Terri Nunn from new wave band Berlin. Find out, first of all, who is the first choice to sing this #1 hit, Take My Breath Away, and the drama of recording it. How it divided fans and the band, and why the band didn't get to perform it at the Oscars when it was nominated. Pretty cool story, actually really fascinating. As we go into this interview, I do want to thank our sponsor, Zenni Eyewear, the brand I always wear. When you click on our info button right up here, it will get you the best prices on Zenni frames, up to 80% off regular retail prices. You can also design your very own pairs. Add amazing features like blue blocks to protect your eyes from digital blue light that can make your eyes very tired. Click on this info button to get a special POR deal. Here's Terri Nunn, the story. Take My Breath Away. Let's talk about that. What you remember about that coming together, and obviously you worked with Georgio on No More Words.
No More Words. Well, it was only because we were working with Georgio on No More Words that I even got the job. It came into him as a project that they wanted to hire him for right then. Literally in the few days, because we only were working on one song with Georgio, in the few days that he was doing No More Words with us, he got the job for Top Gun. He tried a number of people, a number of women, and I've heard a couple of demos that were done by Martha Davis. Take my breath away. And the producers were real sticklers and they didn't like it for this reason or that reason or who knows. So Georgio had just worked with us and said, all right, well, how about this band? They're very contraband, cutting edge, but they're going to be huge, someday. He tried me on the song. And I don't know. It's that young thing that we all have. I know because I've got a teenage kid now and I see it in her, where you're just stupid enough to think that you can do whatever you want. And I luckily wasn't afraid. I just thought, well, I'm going to sing it the way I want to sing it because I don't like what Georgio did with it. He'll like it or he won't like it. So I changed his melody, and this was, but I didn't care, I mean, it's not that I didn't care. It's just like, I didn't think it was working the way he did it.
You had nothing to lose, sounds like.
Yeah, Berlin was great. We were doing really well. The record label liked us. We were all happy. And it's like, okay, well, I'll do this movie thing or I won't do it. But I honestly feel, and when I heard his demo, that it wasn't the women that was the reason that the producers didn't like it. The melody wasn't flowing in a way that worked.
Martha's version, it's good, but it's not a hit song because it's very vampy. Take my breath away. I think what you did was the longing in it, the vocal on it, just incredible. Take my breath away. Pull open your chest and just let out every emotion in your soul. That performance is there.
Yeah, because it was sad. It was a sad time in my life personally. So the only way to relate to it, because I wanted to relate to it. I loved Giorgio. I loved his work. I wanted to do anything with him. But the only way I could relate to it was from where I was, which is my personal life wasn't happening at all. It was not good. It wasn't flowing. I couldn't find love. I couldn't give love. I just didn't know that yet. I didn't know how to be a partner. I was so busy with Berlin, and who's going to hang around when you're so busy with something and you're not there? And, you know, I mean, you can't expect somebody to be there. And I did. I just thought, well, if I'm really successful, then I'll be loved. And it's like, it doesn't work like that. It's relationships require their own set of circumstances and rules and attention, and I didn't know any of that yet, and I was just at it. And so with Giorgio's song, his song is all about love, and you're just so great in my life, and I was just singing it just like, it's so not great in my life. So there's this sadness that was the only way I could sing it honestly. Like, yeah, it would be nice. Wow, it'd be great to be like that, but I'm not like that. So that's where it's coming from. There's this real sadness. Yeah, that's where I was.
The thing about that song is interesting is I've heard with Top Gun 2 that a lot of people were asking the question, are they going to use Danger Zone? Are they going to use it again? But, you know, it's interesting that people forget, from a fan's perspective, Take My Breath Away is a bigger song. Take my breath away. If you look on Spotify, it has almost double the amount of plays that Danger Zone does. On YouTube, if you combine all of the YouTube videos that are out there, like the lyric video, and then there's one that shows scenes from the movie, and then there's your music video, it's almost 500 million views.
Yeah, you know, because it's a love song. And they always sell more than anything else, always. I remember in a meeting with David Geffen, I don't know if it was he bought the first album, so it was the second album. And he said, why don't you write more love songs, more ballads? And I said, I don't want to. Everybody writes about love. And, you know, there's more to write about. There's more to sing about than love. And he said, no, there isn't. That's what people want to hear. And he was right. You know, I want to be different and cutting edge and, you know, do more than had been done. But he was right. It's, you know, ballads always outsell everything else. Always. Always have.
Well, it's always used. That and Danger Zone were a huge reason why Top Gun, the soundtrack, was massive. That was like one of the biggest soundtracks ever at the time. It's still in the top 15, I think it's top 10 of all time. But Top Gun 2, it's definitely out there. Before that, it's been used in so much pop culture. I mean, Take My Breath Away has been used in Despicable Me 3.
Here he comes.
Ocean's 11. I love how they use it in Ocean's 11.
I'm a huge Sacha Baron Cohen fan. I just love him, and I love that he put it in his movie. God, that was great. When he was, in love with Pamela Anderson and he stuck my song in there, I'm still happy about that. That was a wonderful moment for me to see that because he's such a brilliant comedic mind.
Well, with your kids too, having it, the fact that it's been used in Inside Out.
I'm good. You guys good?
It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Did you see how they used it there? It's been used in so much pop culture, but what do you know about Top Gun 2? Are they going to use it, or do you know anything about that?
I know they're not using mine. They talked to us about possibly putting it somewhere in the movie, does a reference to it. Like, I really like that song or something. So they were talking about that, but I don't know if they did it.
They're going to really make it for true fans. I don't know how they don't leave those two songs out, because those were the two songs that made that movie. I mean, such an iconic film. What did you think when you saw the movie? Do you remember when you first saw it?
Yeah, and I was a dick about it then. And I know I was because I saw it again later with my boys. And I thought, wow, that was a really good movie. It was not just for the fact that it had no blue screen. Like, all the stuff you're watching is happening, like real stuff. That by itself is great, but it was just a great story. It was well done. It was, Cruise is self-deprecating. The acting was good. The music was amazing. My song was everywhere. It was like every other scene, like I remember Moroder, we had finished Take My Breath Away. I had no idea why. And I hummed it for him, left the studio, and then in the movie, I'm like, oh, there's the humming. I was literally just humming behind Kelly and Tom getting him on.
Where did that version go? I love that version. I've tried to find that everywhere.
You can't. They didn't sell it. They just used it in the soundtrack itself. So yeah, that was in there.
I always loved the story about the Oscars because they would have people sing other people's songs. I was talking to Jim Peterick from Survivor about Eye of the Tiger. That was up for Song of the Year for the Best Original Song Oscar, and they wouldn't let him sing it. Phil Collins was up for Take a Look at Me Now, Against All Odds. Great song, and he didn't get to sing it. And he was like the biggest artist at that moment with No Jacket Required. And then, so tell me about your experience with that.
They asked me to sing it. And I said, yeah, well, I didn't say no, but I didn't like the way they asked, not the way they asked me, but the way they wanted it done, which was they wanted, they're always trying to shorten that show because it goes on and on. You can't, it's so hard to regulate, people talking and thanking a million people, and, it just goes on and on and on. So they keep trying to truncate things, and that year they decided to make all of the songs into one medley. They would do a verse and a chorus of Take My Breath Away. They would do a verse and a chorus of the next song. They would do a verse and a chorus of the next song. So that's what they asked me to do. And I said, well, no, I want to do the whole song. I'm not doing it. And they said, okay, thank you so much. Click. And they got somebody else to sing it. And they got a medley, and they did it the way they wanted to do it.
In this foolish lover's game.
Who was I to tell the Oscars how to do it? It's not my show. It just this stupid, when we're kids, look back and just go, oh my God, what was that? What was I thinking? But
it was true punk rock, man. It was that punk rock attitude, new wave. You told me though that you did watch the Oscars. You were overseas, right? Didn't you watch it on somebody's like little television or something?
Yeah, I was in Thailand, and my best friend lived there. We were doing shows there. We were doing a whole Asian tour.
This song you may have heard here before.
It's called Take My Breath Away.
So I saw it on her little TV in her apartment.
The winners are Georgio Moroder and Tom Whitlock for Take My Breath Away from Top Gun.
It won.
They've done this a couple times. They show like little clips from all these movies to celebrate romance in the movies. They always use Take My Breath Away.
Well, it always ended the show. I think this last year it didn't, but for, God, decades. You know how they would do the medley as they're showing the highlights of the show, and they just kind of run that over the credits and then do all the movie songs, and it would always be in there.
Well, what I loved about the song was the drone. I mean, the drone sound and your voice coming in. You did it a different way. You did it the way you wanted to do it. What did he say? Like, tell me about the rest of that.
I guess he liked it, or he wouldn't have given it to the producers. So I guess he liked what I did. His melody was a little, watching every motion in this foolish lover's game, on this endless ocean high. It was so, it didn't sound romantic to me at all. And I wanted to, so I just made the melody longer. Watching every moment, it just hung over the phrases instead of being so regimented. I pulled it around and just, made it longer and fluid. Just that idea helped the song. If anybody else had thought of that before me, they would have gotten the job. That's all it needed. It just needed some massaging. It needed to be romantic.
Well, timeless. I mean, you brought a timeless element to it, because if he would have done it that way, it wouldn't be timeless. It sounds more like a standard now, a new wave standard, because it has that, like you said, the sadness, the romance, the the angst, the longing, all those things that make people want to listen to music anyway. But
what was it like for you? Because there's two different camps on Take My Breath Away for Berlin. I mean, when you heard it, was it like, well, that's not very Berlin? Or was it something you were like, yeah, that's Berlin, you just accepted it? How was it for you?
I was like, finally they're getting recognized for how incredible they really are. So I thought it was awesome. That's what was great, is that how could you turn that down as an artist to have your song tattooed on that movie like it did? It just introduced you to a whole new audience.
Well, for me, it was about Georgio. The record label was all about the movie. They got it. I had no idea what that confluence of that was happening, the movie and the album and the song, and I had no idea. They knew what was coming because they were so excited about the movie. I was excited about Georgio. Another song to do with Georgio. Oh my God. Because he was so expensive. I mean, there was no way, if he didn't ask me to do it, that we were ever going to afford him. Because at that point, we hadn't even had a top 40 hit yet. So they weren't going to fork over any more money for Georgio. So that was another connection with him that I jumped on. And it's really why John and I fought, because he didn't want to do it. It wasn't a Berlin written song, but I was like, yeah, but Georgio, it's, we get to do something else with him. Let's do this. And, the label just said, God, John, you're doing it. This is going to happen. So he really had nothing to, no say in the matter. And that pissed him off even more. And I can understand that. He's been really honest about it, saying, here I am trying to make a hit for this band, for Berlin, that I've put my heart and soul into for, God, since 1977 when he started the band. And this is 1984 or 5 or whatever it was.
86, yeah.
Yeah, and he's trying to, write songs that will be successful and get us out there. And here comes this guy, swoops in, here, do this song. And it's a smash, crazy nut, international freaked out hit around the world, and John's just like, I can imagine it would be devastating in a way, when you're all you do is write songs and try to make them successful. And, you know, so yeah, of course I understand that. He didn't tell me that now.
Did you feel the backlash from fans at that time?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, but
how did you feel it? Did you feel it just from word of mouth, letters? Because, I mean, this is before emails, before internet.
Yeah, it wasn't like social media, but it was still out there, and the letters we got, and, you know, hearing it from the people at the shows, you know, some were just all about it because that's what brought them in. And others were like, well, yeah, but we've loved you since, you know, Sex Ima. And this ain't Sex Ima. This is just, you know, corporate bullshit. And for us, it now all of a sudden we were making a living. You know, we could actually quit our day jobs. It opened up so much more in listeners. And so, yeah, I mean, yeah, I was sorry to see some of them go, but not sorry enough to stop eating.
Especially now, though. I mean, when somebody comes to a Berlin concert, that's what's cool, is that they're expecting to hear, at least the middle of the road fans are expecting to hear the 3 hits or the 3 songs that they know, right? The Metro, No More Words, and Take My Breath Away. And then the other fans are there to hear Sex Ima and all the other deeper tracks. I mean, I always want to hear Like Flames because, oh my gosh, I love that song. But Take My Breath Away, it's timeless. Not that the other stuff isn't, it's just timeless from the perspective of millions and millions of people. So you may have noticed that Take My Breath Away was not in the sequel, Maverick. Should have been. It's much more memorable than the main Lady Gaga song, at least to my ears. And actually, when the movie was released last year, Take My Breath Away went back into the charts. Thanks so much for watching. I want to hear from you about this. What is your favorite song from an 80s movie? What other soundtrack classics should we cover on here? Leave us a comment about Terri Nunn, Berlin, and this classic song. You know, if you like our videos, we invite you to subscribe to be a part of this community, and click on our links below to check out our merch. It's all about keeping the music alive, really. Till next time, 3 chords and the truth, my friends.